All right, ladies and gentlemen, Smith Jimmers here. It's been a while. Wanted to be true to my 5 subscribers, put out some new content for you. This is the 2020 NFL first quarter of the way through the season. Today is October 5th, 2020. It's been one dickens of a year. Really hope you guys are doing well. Hope your families are doing okay. It's been one very hectic year for everyone. No one anticipated any of this stuff happening. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's just get right into it. I'm going to give you my quarter grades from the football season on all 32 teams, starting with my favorite team. Can't tell by the background right there, Philadelphia Eagles. They are not looking too good. They also have all kinds of injuries on their squad. Doug Peterson remains to be seen if he's actually the mastermind behind the 2017 Super Bowl. I personally think he was more of a accidental kind of coach for that. But Carson Wentz looked good against the Niners the other night. They really came together as a squad. And, their defense is holding strong. Hopefully no more guys get injured, and we'll see what happens to there. I go with my most hated team now, the Cowboys. They have probably the most dynamic offense in the NFL. They could put up 40 points at will. They have pretty much the entire season. Only problem is their defense has not shown up. DeMarcus Lawrence is getting into fights with fans outside of the game. He's telling them to F off, which is never a good thing. We'll see what happens. They just lost a blowout. Well, it should have been a blowout to the Browns. They kind of came back a little bit, made a respectable game. But in the same breath, they got destroyed by the Browns and Baker Mayfield and all those guys. So, New York Giants, hate to see it. Daniel Jones has next to nothing to work with. He has no running game to speak of whatsoever. I know Devontae Freeman is doing his best. It's a shame. I'm a Pennsylvania kind of guy. It's too bad seeing Saquon Barkley going down like that. I really hope he can bounce back next year. We shall see. It is unfortunate, and I wish them the best. Another division rival, but it's a shame seeing them go down like how they did. The Washington football team, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. They started out real strong against the Eagles, came back against a 17-0 deficit. I don't know if that was so much of their character or the Eagles just falling apart. Either way, you got to show massive respect to Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, dealing with cancer. My goodness, I heard that he was talking to the team officials, had to lean on somebody because he was just going through it. He was just going through reality, and that's life is dealing all of us that kind of curveball right now. Nothing but respect for him. Dwayne Haskins, this is a make or break year for him. If he doesn't get it together soon, again, this is after week 4. Wouldn't be surprised to see Alex Smith in there. They jettisoned Adrian Peterson in the offseason. They got the rookie in there. He's doing all right. We'll see how he goes from now. Again, their defense looks good. Hopefully Chase Young gets healthy and bounces back. He's going to be a dominant force in the league, in my opinion. Let's go to the NFC North. The Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford. Always feel bad for that guy. He has been a consummate professional his entire career. Always injured in college. Didn't have a lot of injuries so far in the NFL, but last year he was banged up pretty good. They got a lot of weapons around him now. Let's see if the ex-Patriots defensive coordinator can get that team going. I think he's on the hot seat next. I would have said he and or Bill O'Brien would have been the first ones to go. And as of today, again, October 5th, we all see what happened to Bill O'Brien. So the Green Bay Packers, 4-0. They just won tonight, Monday Night Football. Dominated effort against the Atlanta Falcons. Aaron Rodgers, next to nothing to throw to. Hey, he needs some targets in the offseason. He's got Devontae Adams. All right, these other young guys, they might step up. Valdez Scantling, Alan Lazard, one of those guys might step up. You could use a first round, maybe second round, maybe third round wide receiver taken. And what does the GM do? He's like, nah, we're going to draft your replacement, buddy. Jordan Love, and then we got the running back in the second round. Rodgers didn't even skip a beat. Consummate professional again. I keep using that word. Showed Love a lot of respect. Took him under his wing, but he's like, "Hey, bud, really hope you take over in about 7 years from now, because I ain't going anywhere anytime soon." And he might be the front runner candidate for the MVP. Notwithstanding Russell Wilson. We'll get to him a little bit later on. Minnesota Vikings 1-3. They finally got a win that chased Bill O'Brien out of Houston as the head coach. Kirk Cousins, he's been hit or miss. He's got the big contract. You expect a lot from him. He finally got his first postseason win last year. But we shall see where that team ends up. They got a lot of pieces missing, especially on the defensive end of the ball. But the offense before 2 days ago's game against Houston has not been pushing the ball down the field whatsoever. When healthy, Dalvin Cook is a top 5 running back in the league. They did get rid of Stephon Diggs. They got Adam Thielen in there. Justin Jefferson, a dynamic rookie. They need to get him the ball more often. I know they have been in the last 2 weeks. They need to keep that up. And I think the Vikings will be quite all right. They might be able to snag that second wild card, which is in effect for the 2020 season. That brings you to the Chicago Bears. They got a quarterback mess, controversy, whatever you want to call it. Mitch Trubisky, I feel the GM decides that, hey, we took him so high, moved up to get him in the 2017 draft. We're going to give him every opportunity to succeed. I think his time may have run out in the Windy City. Nick Foles did not look great at all in any means against Indianapolis Colts. However, I do think they're going to stick with Foles for the time being unless he either completely falls apart, which I personally doubt, or he gets injured, which may be a more accurate depiction of what happens. As much as I love the guy, he got the Eagles their only Super Bowl win, their Super Bowl MVP. He does have a history of being injured, so we'll see what happens with him. Hopefully he can stick it out and take over for the Bears squad. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All you heard all offseason, Tom Brady, Tom Brady. We'll see how he goes. I was skeptical of him at first. I thought it was a money grab. He wanted to grab $50 million guaranteed. Bill Belichick's like, you know what? We don't need you anymore, New England. And everybody's like, all right, he's probably done. Tampa Bay's like, hey. Bruce Arians is like, hey, we'll give you $50 million guaranteed over 2 years. Let's see what you got. Underwhelmed the first 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, he's been coming on strong, especially this past week against the Chargers and a young upstart rookie. He had absolutely nobody to throw to. Mike Evans was in and out of the lineup. Chris Godwin was gone. O.J. Howard, I would say their number one tight end. I know Gronk's in there, but hey, it is what it is. He left with an injury. Hopefully he'll be all right. But Brady has held his own, got his team back in it. They have a really good defense, and they probably are the favorites to win that division right now. We also have the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan, consummate. I can't stop saying that word for whatever reason. But he has been there since 2008. He's been there. He's been their guy, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let's be honest, folks. Unfortunately, he hasn't had a lot to work with his career. If his offense has been dominant, his defense has been lacking, vice versa. Julio Jones this year, top 5 in the league when healthy. Unfortunately, has not been healthy this year. We'll see if he can bounce back. We'll see if Calvin Ridley looks like he could potentially be the number one guy. We got Russell Gage in there. Todd Gurley came into Atlanta, not expecting a lot with his degenerative knee injury. We'll see what happens. They are 0-4. Not looking too good for the Falcons, but Matt Ryan has always been a fighter. Let's see if he can bounce back. We got the New Orleans Saints. They won a close one against the resurgent Lions. Drew Brees, if anybody's been watching the last couple weeks, it looks like his arm strength, he's not trusting it or it's not there anymore. One of the two is probably accurate. Doesn't help that Michael Thomas, probably the top 3 wide receiver in all of football, has been out for the majority of the year. Drew Brees has been struggling without him. He's been doing what he could. He led his team to a 2-2 record so far, but they have not looked very good. Their defense is a little bit broken down. They're doing what they can, but Drew Brees has to sustain drives, even if that's dinking and dunking down the field to Alvin Kamara, which is never a bad plan B, or you also got Emmanuel Sanders in there. Traquan Smith having a good year as well. We got the Carolina Panthers. Excuse me, I'm surprised they're 2-2. Teddy Bridgewater, really great story, really good comeback story. Looked like he was a Vikings first-round pick in 2014, I believe, and then he tore his knee up a couple years into it. Looked like he might be done, decided to bounce back, was New Orleans' backup quarterback for the last 2 years, finally got his payday with Carolina under new rookie head coach Matt Rule. So far, so good, especially considering that Christian McCaffrey has been out for the last couple of weeks. Teddy Bridgewater's making his own. His defense, Brian Burns stepping up on that defensive front, becoming the leader of that young defense. So hopefully they can keep it up. And they can be competitive for the rest of the year. Let's go to the West now. Seattle Seahawks. My goodness, Russell Wilson never won first place vote in the MVP voting. That is an absolute travesty. I can't imagine that will not change this year. If he doesn't win it outright, but at least get the vast majority of the votes. I know it's still early in the season, but my God, he is just playing his ass off. That team, no running game to speak of. Chris Carson, good when healthy. Fortunately, that's a big win. He's not really healthy at all. Really no depth behind him in the running back game. Wide receiver, DK Metcalf, big steal. Believe me, I'm mad at Howie Roseman for passing up on him and drafting some unknown guy. I'm not even going to bother you with his name right now because he's so pathetic. Plus, they got Tyler Lockett, a third-round steal from the 2015 draft. Those guys are tearing it up. Russell Wilson, my vote for the quarter mark through the 2020 NFL season. San Francisco 49ers, it's kind of hard to judge that team right now. The Eagles did defeat them just last night. They did have a whole rash of injuries. The Eagles did as well, but Nick Mullins probably should not have been starting. C.J. Beathard took over and almost led the Niners to a stunning win after they were down 11 late in the fourth quarter last night. Hard to say, really tough that Nick Bosa got injured. Probably top 5 player in the league, not even defensive end, just player overall in general. Solomon Thomas went down as well. Jimmy G should be back next week. We'll see then. I think the Niners will be all right. Shanahan, very good coach. I think he's leading that team on the right path. Arizona Cardinals are a bit of an enigma. They started out 2-0. I thought personally that they were going to romp stomp their way to an NFC West championship. I thought Kyler Murray was going to be the real deal, maybe an MVP candidate. He still may be, but the last 2 weeks, especially against the Lions 2 weeks ago and against the Panthers just 2 days ago, they really stumbled. They stubbed their toe. We'll see what they got. Kenyon Drake needs to step up for the Cardinals. That is what their coach, Cliff Kingsbury, wanted, a dynamic running back available to catch the ball more often than not. He has been a bit of a disappointment. Anybody in fantasy can also attest to that. Hopefully they can turn it around. They're still 2-2. The Los Angeles Rams, 3-1. They are looking pretty good. Sean McVay, always labeled an offensive genius. I personally do not care much for the guy. You can't deny his track record, though. They got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They looked really good against the Eagles. Again, the Eagles were decimated, and they looked absolutely confused with injury. They did not look good whatsoever. However, yesterday against the Giants, they looked very mediocre. The Giants had every opportunity to take over that game, to take advantage of that game, and to win that game, but they unfortunately do not have the talent. Again, lacking Saquon Barkley, I'm not surprised by that. We'll see if the Rams can bounce back in a very, very tough division. And now we're going to the AFC. Let's start with the New England Patriots tonight. They lost against the Chiefs. They played them tough in the first half. A couple of missed opportunities, a couple of inexplicable turnovers, especially for a Bill Belichick-led team. Led the Patriots to have a couple of points. They left not on the board. Unfortunately, the Chiefs took advantage in the second half. Patrick Mahomes settled down a little bit. And we shall see. It's unfortunate, Cam Newton, with the whole COVID thing. Hopefully he can bounce back. He was having a very resurgent year. He looked very confident in that very difficult playbook that Bill Belichick has installed. Just ask Chad Johnson about that. But I am fully confident that the Patriots will contend for that Eastern Division crown with, who you ask? Well, that's a hell of a segue. How about the Buffalo Bills? Josh Allen, 4-0. He looks like an early candidate for the MVP as well. Their defense, in my opinion, I thought should be a little bit better. They are lacking a little bit. Again, they're 4-0. I can't nitpick too much. But it's always a good time when your defense, quote unquote, lets you down and your offense just is like, hey, bud, you guys take a break. You deserve it. Vice versa for the offense. They're both picking each other up. 4-0. You can't get much better than that through 4 games in the season. Miami Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick, what can you say about him? I really hope this guy at some point gets considered for some Hall of Fame potential. He's been a consummate professional over his career. There's that word again. He has done nothing but rally his team around him. I don't care the talent level of the team. I don't care where those guys on his team were drafted at. None of that. He seems to always get the most out of his teammates. And I guarantee when he retires, if and when he retires, he might play another 10 years. That's just how he is. He's going to be a coach, and he's going to be the most beloved and most respected coach of his generation. That's all I feel. Tua Tagovailoa, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know what his name is. He's learned under one of the best. If it's not him or Josh Rosen down in Tampa, those guys are in very good situations. They're going to learn, and they're going to be all the better for it. The New York Jets, in my opinion, are the worst team in the NFL. I don't know how Adam Gase is still with that team. I feel bad for Sam Darnold. I know he's had a banged up shoulder, banged up injuries. His running backs have been banged up. Le'Veon Bell, his wide receivers, Perriman, Crowder was banged up for a while. I think there's another one. It's just a sad state of affairs in New York. Their defense is terrible. Their offense isn't much better. They lost to the Broncos third string the other day. We'll see what happens. I'm saying that they're the favorites for the number 1 pick in the 2021 draft, but we shall see. Pittsburgh Steelers, they are 3-0. Resurgent Ben Roethlisberger. They're playing my Eagles next week. We'll see what happens there. They looked really good. COVID kind of derailed their game against the Titans this week. In my opinion, they have an elite defense, top 5 in the league. As long as Big Ben, as he's getting his sea legs back after missing over a year plus with his injury, as long as he bounces back in good time, they are definitely a candidate to win not only that division, but probably be in the running for the AFC Championship. And AFC, in my opinion, is the much better conference right now than the NFC. The Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, hell of a talent. Like one of a kind, one of a generational talent. We'll see what he can do. He seems to struggle in the bright lights, the spotlights of the Sunday night games, the Monday night games, the Thursday night games, basically that kind of thing. We'll see if he can bounce back from that. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do seem to have his number. He just needs to play within himself, trust his guys around him. They have a really good defense, and they have an amazing coach. And as long as he can do that and play within himself, I think they'll be just fine. They will definitely be there with Pittsburgh for the AFC Championship at some point. The Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow looks legit. He looks like the real deal. He doesn't need a lot of time to prepare. He looks like day 1 starter. Like no issue there whatsoever. I was a little skeptical when they just jettisoned Andy Dalton for nothing because he's been a consummate professional for about 10 years. But Burrow is legit, and he has a couple of good weapons around him. Their defense is pretty bad. They're starting to pick it up a little bit, I guess. They had a tie and then a win in the last 2 weeks. So he's getting his sea legs, and I think he's going to be just fine. The Browns are a giant enigma, in my opinion. They are 3-1 right now after a convincing win over the Cowboys. Cowboys, I feel, as I said, they have the top 5 offense in the league. They have a bottom 2 defense in the league. Their defense is absolutely garbage. Baker Mayfield didn't light them up at all. Odell Beckham Jr. had that reception from his college teammate who threw him the ball, Jarvis Landry. We'll see what happens with them. I I don't know. Their defense is questionable. They're up in the air. They're very lucky to be 3-1 right now, in my opinion. But we'll see how it happens. Tennessee Titans 3-0, another victim of the COVID thing. Hopefully they bounce back from that. Ryan Tannehill finally in a system that favors him. Finally a system that knows what he can do, his strengths. They play towards his strengths. Play action a lot of times. A.J. Brown, dynamic young talent. Corey Davis in a contract year. He's going to try to do whatever he can to become the number one receiver on that team. So far, he's done a damn good job of that. And then, of course, you got Derrick Henry, who has shown glimpses over the last 4 years of being a top 5 back in the league. Hopefully, he can keep that up, and hopefully they don't have any more COVID issues on that team. The Jacksonville Jaguars, not a lot to speak of. I don't know what Mr. Khan wants to do with that team. I still feel he wants to move him to England. Gardner Minshew is doing what he can. He plays his ass off and his mustache off every time he plays. He is a dynamic talent. They don't have a lot around him. Shark is a great young number one receiver. That James guy, forget his last name, whoopsie, running back, he's legit. Illinois State, whatever it was, I'm sorry. But he has shown everyone that they made the right decision by letting Leonard Fournette go in the offseason, because he has handled the rock and then some. I got good things coming for them. They're young. They're on the right path, however. The Indianapolis Colts, dynamic defense, amazing top 3 offensive line in the NFL. Phillip Rivers needs to clean it up. I know he's had a quote-unquote good year so far, but he's also had a lot of turnovers over the last couple of years, especially. He's no spring chicken either. I believe he's 38 years old. My opinion, Carson Wentz is going to trade there to be reunited with Frank Reich next year. This year, however, he needs to limit the turnovers, and it remains to be seen if he could win in a shootout if push comes to shove, because so far their defense has been smothering, and it hasn't come to that. He hasn't been exposed yet to that point. We got the Houston Texans. Bill O'Brien finally fired after letting go of that guy for pretty much nothing. They had to send away a 4th round pick and David Johnson just to recoup a 2nd round pick. He's the best wide receiver in the game. And he has been for about 3. He's been top 5 pretty much since 2013 when he came out of the league from Clemson. And it is absolutely asinine that his coach / GM just jettisoned him for absolutely nothing. I don't want to say washed up, because David Johnson is a hell of a running back. Their offensive line is absolute garbage. It's just a shame. If you're a Houston fan, you know what I'm talking about. It is painful. This guy, I feel badly for him. He has absolutely nobody to throw to. They gave a max contract. Randall Cobb, 12th year, I believe, in the league. They gave him his biggest contract yet. Come on, what are you doing, man? You're wasting this guy's talent. It's nothing else can be said about that. Let's go to the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert clearly has shown that he belongs in the league. A nice shootout with Tom Brady yesterday. It's very unfortunate for Tyrod Taylor. Hopefully he recovers fully. I imagine that was just one hell of an accident by the trainer. I'm sure he feels super badly about it. Hopefully Taylor can bounce back. Honestly, at this point, though, I don't think you can go back to Taylor, barring some kind of injury to Herbert. He has proven that he belongs, let alone he was a top 10 talent in the draft, and he is making most use of their weapons. Austin Eckler hopefully bounces back from that MCL soon. You got this Kelly kid, rookie coming out of nowhere. He looks like legit. And Mike Williams, often injured. Hopefully he bounces back, but in the meantime, you got Keenan Allen holding down a fort. Hunter Henry, he's healthy. He's holding down a fort. I think good things are coming for the Chargers. Chiefs, you really not that much to say about. They struggled a little bit in the first half against the Patriots tonight. Patrick Mahomes is legit. He's the best quarterback in the league. There's nothing really else you can say about that. You can only hope to slow him down. People may be looking at Bill Belichick's game plan in the first half, because they kept showing Mahomes on the sideline, and he looked legitimately upset slash confused slash like I don't even know. He just looked delirious almost because he didn't know what was going on. And then the second half, it eventually, after all the unforced errors the Patriots had with their backup and then backup quarterback, they eventually got it going, and the Chiefs ended up pulling away in a big way in that game. However, that might be a blueprint to beating this guy. But Andy Reid is a hell of a coach. I'm super proud for Coach Reid. Glad he won a Super Bowl. Too bad it couldn't have been with us. But I digress. Denver Broncos. Drew Lock looked like he was going to be legit. I feel very badly for him. He should be back soon. Unfortunately, his number one receiver, Courtland Sutton, is out for the year. His big tight end, Noah Fant, is out for a couple weeks, I believe. That team is just decimated with injuries right now. Brett Rippon came in on Thursday night, and he looked like he belonged in the NFL. So they got a legitimate backup behind Locke whenever he is ready. They got Jerry Jeudy. He looked like legit snatching that ball away, and he was able to move the ball. That's all you ask from a backup. You just want him to move the ball down the field. You want him to try to limit his turnovers. Unfortunately, Rippon had a bunch of them. But you could just tell this Broncos team without Von Miller, who unfortunately is out for the year, they're just playing behind Vic Fangio, who I believe is a player's coach. I believe all the players respect the hell out of that guy. And I think every game that they have this year is going to be close. They're not going to win a lot, but I really think they're going to be in almost every game this year. And that finally brings us to the Las Vegas Raiders. First 2 weeks of the year, if you told me the Raiders were going to be a Super Bowl favorite, or at least contender, I would have been like, hell yeah, absolutely. John Gruden, thumbs up. Let's fucking go. Sorry, kid show. But other than that, the last 2 weeks they kind of stumbled a little bit. They looked very sluggish against the Bills. Granted, the Bills have a really good defense. Derek Carr, I feel for like the fourth year out of his sixth year in the league. Hey, Derek Carr, you got to make that next step forward. You got to go. You got a great running back. You got Josh Jacobs, potentially be a top 5 back in the league. You got Darren Waller, a diamond in the rough, potentially a top 5 tight end in the league. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of tight end depth, and their defense is a little bit banged up right now. But we shall see what happens. You can never rule out Gruden. They're 2-2 right now, but they're very far from out of it. And all I want to say before I sign off, appreciate you guys for watching. If you have any, if you want to argue about me with anything that I said, please feel free in the comments. I'm always up for a good conversation, good argument. All I want to say is this gentleman right here. This guy, one hell of a guy. From all intents and purposes, he is one of the top 5 kind of character guys in the league. It's just a shame what happened to him. I know I'm sure he has some charities. He has some stuff going on. If you can get on his social media, anything, just make your condolences, please. If you can, donate to any of his charities he's got going on. I feel so badly for a guy like that. It always seems to be the guys with the best kind of support system around, the best kind of parents, and they're always taking it from him too soon. And you just hate seeing it. There's nothing else. There's nothing positive you can say. I know this COVID thing's been a real pain in the neck. I mean, that's nothing. I just can't imagine what this kid's going through, and I feel so badly for him. And if you can reach out, if you know where he is, if you want to say hi, if you want to console him, anything like that, if you want to donate to his charity, please don't hesitate to do so. He seems like a good guy, and he seems like he's raised from good stock. And just please try to reach out, try to do the right thing. And other than that, let's go Birds and Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl 2020. You heard it here first. All right.